Hi there, my name is Elizabeth James, and I will be discussing how international news is presented to national audiences. The transition between Eastern to Western media, I argue, is one of the bases of prejudice. Globally, people have been able to utilize new forms of media, such as social media and technology, to become more aware of media, bias, prejudice, and emotions that take place in traditional media outlets. Media theories such as cultural proximity contribute to media preferences across national boundaries, revealing its power in audience behavior towards international media platforms, which can be explained further through factors such as journalism, in terms of informing global communities of first-hand accounts, on-site witnesses, and public opinion. Internationalized news reports or stories controlled by big corporations compromises the majority of foreign news to suit political or personal agendas, most of which aren't covered in mainstream media. Media and global climate knowledge tells us how international media is analyzed and dissected, showcasing how stories or events will be depicted, as news reports will only suit the ideologies of the society that the news is presented to. Virtual geography, which is the use of digital mediums such as phones and cameras that let people from around the world upload the latest news and stories as they're happening to where we can remote sense them. Prejudice in the press showcases to us how different cultures are portrayed and how new eras of media decides to present certain stories or news through nationalized social media and television. In this video presentation, I aim to analyze how traditional news media outlets continues to break the political, social, economic, and cultural events that take place globally through prejudice. In relation to these topics, I will now be focusing on my chosen case study, the latest protests in Iran, the Mahsa Amini movement, using media theory such as cultural proximity to understand why specific cultures are represented by different epistemic styles. Before I begin to analyze how these topics are all contributing factors to media and prejudice, I will start the video off with why and how the protests began in Iran, with a quick history overview. On September 13, 2022, Mahsa Amini, a 22-year-old Kurdish woman, was arrested by the morality police. On September 16th, 3 days after she was arrested, she succumbs to her wounds, dying in police custody after she was arrested for being in unsuitable attire. On that same day, protests began, even as police in the state argued that she broke the law, since her clothes were not covering her hair properly. On September 19, 2022, internet shut down as protests continue. The government shut down access to the internet, controlling the news for outside sources. Despite this, social media has been able to utilize in getting videos and photographs to the global community. Casualties have continued to rise, with more than 244 deaths reported as women and girls take to the streets in demonstrations for women's rights as an end to discrimination and violence. These protests are the largest Iran have seen since 2019. Spearheaded by women all over the globe, they have decided to cut their hair and burn hijabs and protest for their rights. People across the world have referenced Islamic iconography in a critique of how the state uses religion as a front for oppression. This case is a key example of how international communities are being controlled through selective production, helping shape the audience's view of globalized issues, situations, and events such as these protests. I stand by my argument that it is integral to know and understand international affairs to inform us about the world around us. To this day, Iranian state media has insisted police has the situation under control and denied reports that the city has fallen to unrest. The theories I mentioned before explains, explores, and reveals systemic differences in reporting, unveiling fundamental bias and its impact over every facet of media. If we didn't have the affordances of virtual geography, journalism, media knowledge, and prejudice in the press, then we wouldn't find out the truth or extent of what is happening in our global community, especially with the brutality of police and government force within Iran right now. The authorities are still trying to dismiss and discredit them as rioters influenced by foreigners. If it weren't for the people on the front lines risking their lives to spread awareness and the truth, the movement wouldn't have gained the national attention it deserved, nor the support from the global community in their fight for freedom and justice. In conclusion, bias and prejudice have once again taken the forefront of what's presented to national audiences. The narrative from governments such as Iran that try to portray differently to the global community present a strong theory and understanding of politically slanted media and its delivery of news to its audience, exposing the issues of race, ethnicity, and culture, and their impact on our society. It reiterates the fact that each country has its own personal agenda and bias, and as such, it is crucial to be careful when formulating a global opinion. Thank you very much for your time.